almost heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old here, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, flowing like a breeze. Country road, take me home. Today I'm going to talk about another one of the steps that we can take to move beyond just strumming. A lot of beginner guitars plateau at the point where they can strum the guitar, and then they want to know, where do I go next? The simple answer is the pluck and strum. So that's what I was using here in Take Me Home by John Denver, and I'm going to cut into a close-up and talk about a couple of different elements. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about is chord choreography, okay? And that's just my term for having a planned strategy to move between chords. The first thing you have to learn how to do is to move between chords smoothly and easily. Speed is not the issue, smoothness is the issue, okay? So work on your smoothness, and the way we do that is we use knowledge of brain plasticity, okay, and knowledge of how neurology works. So how your neurology learns is it likes to learn a short list of very simple motions, and you repeat them forwards and backwards, and that programs motion into your fingers. So if I'm talking about the opening chords of this, going from G to E minor, I have my G in this position, and then all I do is I lift off middle and ring finger, and I put middle finger under pointer on the D string, and now it's a very simple chord change, so that's easy and natural to do without breaking it down. But what I'm saying is, if you want to rapidly learn chords and how to move between chords smoothly, you break down every chord change when you're first learning any new chord change. Let's talk about the next one just very briefly for a good example. I'm on E minor, I want to go to C. I release the pointer, I pivot my hand around, reach down with the pointer, reach up here onto the A string with my ring finger, and there's my C. And then I practice it backwards. I lift pointer and ring off, I rotate my hand around, and I put pointer back on the A string. If you do each of those sets of motions backwards and forwards 2 or 3 times, you'll find that your chord changes become very quick and smooth. And again, quickness is not the issue, but ease and smoothness is the issue. Okay, the next thing we want to pay attention to is if we want to spice up a basic strumming, then we learn a pluck and strum. So instead of going, we're doing what we do, for example, in Country Roads. You're doing the bass string first, and then strumming. And when we're strumming really just the top 3 or 4 strings, the highest in pitch. So here's the pluck and strum motion. Okay, the common pattern that we use in a lot of songs, the common strumming pattern that we use in a lot of songs is thumb, down, up, down, up, and that's this. And you can hear that in Country Roads. And you can hear that in Country Roads. Okay, so that's plucking and strumming. And when you pluck and strum, as opposed to just strumming around on the guitar, it gives you more definition to your sound. It clarifies your sound because now you're playing bass, strum, bass, strum. So it punctuates your sound. If you listen to the guitar on Take Me Home Country Roads or on 1,000 other songs, you're going to hear plucking and strumming being used in this way. It gives you clarity and definition to your sound. It improves the precision of your timing. It's a professional technique, and you can master it with a very small amount of practice. Now here's the bonus idea. Here's the bonus section with plucking and strumming. The final thing, the bonus section here, is how do we use plucking and strumming to make it easier to play the chord changes? Well, here's how. Each time that we change chords, when we go from one chord to the next, the first thing we're hitting when we get to the new chord is the thumb beat. So what happens then, for example, if I'm playing, I'll show you the example with the G, and maybe we'll go from the to the E minor, and then we'll go from E minor to D, and you'll see how this works. Okay, so here's the G. I'm playing G, thumb, down, up, thumb, up, down, up. Now, the next note that I'm going to play when I go to E minor is just an open E string. So the only motion I have to make over here with my left hand is take my middle finger off, and before I even move the rest of the fingers onto the E minor, I can already play the E note. While the E note is ringing, I now have lots of time to move into the E minor position. Okay, so I'll go over that again. We're on G. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pluck an open E. Just take this finger off on the left hand. Now I have an open E string ready to play. So there's no delay or gap. I don't have to wait until my whole hand is in position on E minor to play that first bass note. And this is always the case when you're playing pluck and strum. Sometimes you do have to cover a note, but even so, you only have to reach one note at the beginning of the next chord. Let's look at a more sophisticated pluck and strum example to see how it works when we don't have an open string to take advantage of. I'm on D. Here's the more sophisticated example of pluck and strum, and using the pluck and strum to get to and using the jump to that first bass note to play our chord changes more smoothly and eliminate the little delay or gap between chord changes. So going from the D to the C, I play my D, pluck and strum. Then I'm going to relax my hand, and I'm just going to take ring finger up to the A string. Now these other two fingers are not in position yet, but while I play that C note on the A string, I have time to get pointer and middle onto their appropriate notes. And so what I'm doing is I'm using this little gap, or this little moment of time where I have a single string that I'm reaching for, a single note that I'm reaching for, and I use that moment to position the other fingers in the chord. And what it does is it takes the time pressure off, it allows me to relax a little bit between chords, and it makes all my chord changes smoother. That's my next step beyond strumming. So today we looked at stepping beyond strumming by adding the pluck and strum style to our repertoire. And that's just practicing this pattern, thumb down, up, thumb up, down, up. Okay, we talked about, we reviewed our basic chord motion or chord choreography idea, which is an essential part of getting smooth in between the chords. And then we talked about pluck and strum, the basic pattern. In particular, the thing we're interested in is how do we use pluck and strum to make our chord changes smoother and to create seamless motion between chords. And what we're doing is really a kind of a sleight of hand. Okay, and again, I'll go from the D to the C to review this idea. We're playing pluck and strum on the D, and then going to the first note of the C chord. There's another bonus here that I'm going to talk about without a close-up, and that is how do I practice this? How do I integrate this into my playing? And here's the bonus, the bonus on the bonus is this. What we do is we just practice the first chord and the first note of the next chord we're going to play. So we practice tacking the first beat, that first pluck beat, onto the end of our practice of each chord. So here's what I mean. At the beginning of this, I'm going G to E minor. I practice this. And then I stop. And then I do that again. Okay, and then I practice the next one, E minor to D. And just play the bass note. And while that bass note's ringing, you're also practicing moving your fingers to the next chord that you're about to strum. I'll do the last one, D to C. We're going D to C like this. And you just play the first note of the next chord. This is a practice method that embeds your awareness of the next bass note you're going to as part of your practicing of the first chord I guarantee you this will smooth out the little delays or lags when in your changes between chords, and you're going to build into your hands all the basic mechanics that you need to be able to make pluck and strum an ordinary part of your performance of these kinds of songs. So have fun with that. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a like. If you're looking for help on a particular subject or looking for a lesson on a particular subject, you can just leave me a comment and tell me what you want. And if I can do it, I will. I'm Bonner, and I hope you'll come back and visit Bonner Guitar again very soon.